Hello, everyone. I've been debating making this video for a few days now because ultimately, let's be honest, it's not about me. It's about justice for George Floyd. It's about Black Lives Matter. It's about everything happening in our country right now, things that have been happening in our country for literally centuries. But I don't know, I'm preaching to the choir here. Anybody who knows me or anybody who considers themselves an actual ally and is willing to sit down and listen and not make it about themselves and their ego, they know this to be true. And I know that this isn't going to convert anyone. I'm not really interested in converting anyone, if I'm being perfectly honest. If you have to have it explained to you why everything that's been happening the last few days is a problem and why people are rioting and why people are mad, um, let me give you some more tales. Let me put some more on the pile. You're not going to listen, but let's put some more on the pile. So I'm from the Bronx originally, born and raised. I moved out here to Ohio when I was in my late 20s. And I had many, many, many run ins with the police. And every time I think about them, every time I think about how they could have gone wrong. Now, in addition to already being a black male in America, I look the way I do. So, extra scary to these well armed police officers with the legal ability to murder me. So I remember several times when I was a teenager. Um, I'd like to start by saying I don't have any sort of criminal record. Um, I remember there was a diner near my high school that me and my friends would hang out at sometimes after school, and it was me and a bunch of Latino kids. We were walking home from school, and we noticed this cop car following us up the block. And we're like, okay, that's weird, whatever. But we keep walking, and we noticed they like swerved to get on the same side of the street as us. We're like, all right, that's weird. These two white cops swerved their car up onto the street in front of us so we couldn't walk any further, and then demanded that we open our bags because people had been tagging in the area. So they illegally searched our belongings to see if we had any spray cans or any incriminating evidence on us without our consent, without any sort of warrant or anything. And then when they didn't find anything, this is the rhetoric that always comes up. When they didn't find anything, it was, oh, well, I'm really glad that y'all are okay because this is a dangerous neighborhood. Only people I ever felt intimidated by in my neighborhood was my cops. But it gets better. I remember this very vividly because, again, to anyone else, this would be you were about to get at best jumped, but at worst murdered. I was walking to White Castle one night because it's America. As far as I know, walking down the street at night is not a crime. I was walking to White Castle one night, and this red car swerves up onto the street. These four plainclothes cops, four white guys, get out of the car and demand to know where I'm going. They did not identify themselves as the police, by the way. They ganged up on me and slammed me up against a fence. They patted me down. They demanded again to know where I'm going. Still have not introduced themselves as cops. And finally, one of them shows me a badge and is like, "Where are you going, son?" I'm like, "I'm going to White Castle to get some food for dinner tonight." "Oh, well, yeah, be careful out here. It's a dangerous neighborhood. Be careful." And then they left. Like, that was it. They didn't tell me any names, no identifying anything. Just one guy pulled out a badge and then they left. And I can't stress this enough, how dehumanizing that experience is. And to have it happen so often. This is not an isolated story. This is not the first time you heard this from me or anyone else. I was over at a friend's place one night when I was a teenager, and I asked my mom to bring me a change of clothes because I didn't expect to spend the night. And when she pulled up to the curb in her car in broad daylight, no tinted windows, no nothing sketchy. In broad daylight, my mom hands me an overnight bag. A police officer jumps out of his car up the block and sprints over to me and pulls the bag out of my hand and rifles through it. My mother is screaming, by the way, "Get away from him. Don't touch him. What are you doing?" He throws the bag on the ground, gets back in his car, leaves. We filed a complaint. My mom ended up getting his identifying information. He gave us months later, gave us this very scripted apology, and I'm sure he continued on. I'm sure. My strong language incoming, but my mother had a boyfriend who was abusive, and one day when it came to a head, I I called the police thinking, hey, they're so concerned about the safety of this neighborhood. Surely they'll show up. This man was in my house. I had my bedroom door locked. He was screaming, come out, you faggot. Open the fucking door, you faggot. You could hear this in the 911 call. Call the police. They wouldn't even come up to the apartment. They told me to come downstairs. So I had to leave my locked room in my home to sneak out the front door, go all the way downstairs, 4 flights of stairs in my apartment building. And when these 2 white cops showed up, they were like, yeah, what's going on? I was like, did you not hear this man screaming at me? Like, he's threatening me. He's threatening me and my mother. And they just were like, well, did he do anything yet? No, I'm here and alive, and I don't have any marks on me, as you can tell. Yeah, well, when he does something, call us back. And they left. And again, that's not an isolated story. And again, I got lucky. There are plenty of stories out there of people who called the police and they ended up dead, or nothing happened, or they shot their dog. This is well documented. This isn't new. This isn't isolated. And you people still want to defend the cops because you haven't seen it or because you haven't experienced this. So I guess we're all having some shared hallucination. Hell, I had to kick a roommate out about a year ago, and they came back and trespassed. And I called the police and told them someone's trespassing. They're in my home. They're not supposed to be here. Cops never showed up. Never. And I live in a nice neighborhood. So I don't know. I don't know what the fix is. I don't know what to tell you. This is not the fault of the protesters. Again, this is well documented that a lot of the rioting has only started because police struck first. This is well documented. If you don't want to see it at this point, you don't want to see it. But please spare us with the peace and love. Please spare us the everyone just get along. Please spare us with the I just want everything to be okay. You don't. You want us to be quiet. You're tired of seeing it, and it scares you. And it should scare you. It's been scaring us a very long time. Like I said, I was very, very lucky the multiple times I got stopped by police. George Floyd and hundreds of thousands of people have not been. Black Lives Matter. No justice, no peace.